John, and we're digging into the Bruins and Panthers today. And before we get into clips or anything like that, just a general overview of these two teams who met a year ago, and it was the 7-game thriller with the blown 3-1 series lead for the Bruins. This time around, the script is like almost a little flipped here. It's Florida as the top dog taking on the Bruins.
Yeah, they're considered the top dogs. They're considered the fact that they got a little extra rest under their belt that will be beneficial. Brandon Carlo, will he be in the lineup in time? Can he get on the PJ and get to FLA after having after his wife giving birth? I think it was today or last night. But the reality, you can look at the head-to-head during the regular season as well. Boston went 4-0. The games are real tight. And then you start doing a deep dive. You look at the analytics and you wonder, at the end of the day, it's how are teams creating? How are teams getting to the slot? How are teams defending the slot? And the more and more I looked at these things, the numbers were relatively the same. And what I kind of ascertained after a while is because the numbers are very similar, it means that they're going to have to defend a particular part of the ice that I didn't think was going to be as big a factor as it, to me, blatantly is right now, which is the offensive blue lines or the defending blue lines. And that'll lead us into the first couple topics here.
Yeah, John. I mean, you look at the way that Florida plays and you look at the reputation that they've built. They're a heavy and fast team. They get in on the forecheck. They're heavy and fast on the rush. So when you flip that to the Boston Bruins, what can they do and how can they take care of themselves defensively to make sure that that Florida forecheck and rush doesn't get pumping down their throat?
Well, I think they showed a lot of strides defensively against Toronto. Everybody could talk about how Toronto didn't score, and there's always another side of that coin, and it's Boston defended really well as a 5-man unit. I don't think enough credit was given there. I mean, you only gave up 12 goals in a 7-game series to Toronto, and Toronto is a team that has actually changed up how they spread out their scoring. So as we dive into the first few clips, what we're going to see is how Florida likes to get up ice. And everybody's involved now. Defensemen are involved. Ekman Larson jumping in the play, did an early breakdown early in the year. They like to go east-west through the neutral zone. If you don't kill them at the blue, then they're going to be comfortable getting in deep and crashing the net. Everybody saw this goal, thought it'd be called back. And they're also not afraid to create forechecking situations, use the back of the net, pop it to the slot, and when in doubt, they anchor net front presence. So we'll freeze it here. So Florida's great at screenshots, right? Creating screenshots, one of the best in the league. They anchor guys at the net. They're good with relinquishing possession, but give them a little bit of time and space, they will take it. So Boston, what do you got to do? You got to have great gap. You got to manage the dots. You got to give time for your defenders to get back. And then when you get an opportunity to get a lick in, let's let these clips roll. You got to take your lick. And Charlie McAvoy, I thought he was a stud in round one. I thought he kept getting bigger and better. I think you got to get these hits in once in a while, and it's going to fuel that transition. Step up, take away time and space. Another guy who I thought really broke out as the series went on was Lindholm. Great gap, but look at everybody else just resetting underneath and not cheating the play. You want to go north, you want to establish the forecheck. Grzelcyk does a great job of defending the path. Now, the one thing, be aware, Florida will expose that first post area, but Boston does a good job up and out, and they just get back. They defend the path really well. And this is one thing. If they're going to want to avoid getting smashed into the glass, they're going to need to come back 5. They need to come back low and slow, and that way it'll fuel better transition and better breakouts.
Tyler, I think your mic is muted there.
Son of a gun.
We need
we want to hit on with you is on the offensive side. Boston in round one seemed to lose a bit of that offensive mojo at times. A lot of low scoring games. Game 7, they needed overtime to get their second goal of the game. What did they do to maybe not be as one-dimensional?
Well, I think one thing is their east-west offensive threat wasn't as apparent as the season went on. And as the playoffs went on in round one. So I did a breakdown months ago about them playing half ice hockey and playing as quickly as possible away from their own zone. A bit of a Captain Obvious type of, thing to mention here, but they were going north as quickly as possible. And when in doubt, they were putting pucks deep and they were willing to grind it out and shrink the offensive zone. So we'll fire up a few clips of Boston creating that offense, and then we'll see how Florida can combat that with the way they defend. So does this play look a little familiar? It looked like Lindholm going stretch pass, but he wasn't able to gain the red line. So on that play, they go for a stretch tip in the middle and kick it out. Here, Heinen willing to go in, willing to grind it out. JVR comes around the weak side post, and if a team shrinks the D zone, the offensive pinches are a lot easier to read. Great stick, and the second guy on the forecheck is money on the spot. Now watch. This is exactly the same play as the first one, but in this case, Lindholm could get to the red line. This is where Boston is comfortable with getting pucks deep and playing these bank plays. Let's freeze it right here. And now. So now what does Florida do? Florida, very similarly, they manage the dots really well, and they're willing to surf, skate above, and defend the path. So watch on this stretch pass by Tampa as we let the clips roll, right? D gets in path. He's got options in the corner. He's got 5 guys going to be in the pick, and you don't have to keep pucks along the wall. Little pocket pass, you're up and you're out. A lot of surfing support. Forsling is a little bit late, but at least he's skating forward. Watch how quickly Florida just collapses. 5 guys. There is no guessing. There is no, I didn't know Braden Point was open. There's 5 guys, and 2 or 3 guys can share that responsibility. And when a team has a lot of time and space, they play tight together, manage the dots, and they force offensive teams to kick out their offense. So we'll freeze it here. Okay? This is where they've got to continue to just defend and not necessarily go hunting for the big hit in the neutral zone. They can be hard and heavy in the offensive zone. They can be hard and heavy in the D zone. But I feel that it's all about that surf for Florida in the neutral zone that's going to allow them to get back to pucks quicker, and it's going to make Boston relinquish that possession quicker.
You got a prediction?
I'm going to go Boston in 6.
Wow.
I think they lose game 1, and I think Boston comes back in 6. I think they're going to just figure this one out.
All right. Interesting stuff. We'll check in with you later on.
You're on an island by yourself on that one there, Coach.
I'm used to it.
Another fantastic edition of the Coach's Room powered by Booster Juice. John, appreciate it. We'll chat later in the week. What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.